let's just do my recent reads because I haven't done this in a while. So the first book that I finished this year was one that I carried over from December of last year, and that is the screenplay to Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them by J.K. Rowling. I read this book right after I watched the movie because I really enjoyed the movie. This is such an awesome read. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it because J.K. Rowling's world is so kind of magical and descriptive. So I thought that because I wasn't seeing it on screen, I didn't think that it would translate well, but I was happy to be wrong, because even with like the dialogue and the little kind of descriptions and stuff like that she puts in here, you can feel the magic ooze right out of the pages. The next book that I finished was yet another Christmas present. I don't have it here with me because I lent it out to my friend, but that book is The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. Now, I was very hesitant to pick this book up because I knew that a lot of people kept comparing it to Gone Girl, and I really did not like that book. I actually DNF'd it. Oh, first off, if you don't know, The Girl on the Train is basically about this woman who is basically going through a rough patch in her life. Her job isn't working out, her marriage fell apart, and she spends her days drunk on the train pretending to go to work. And the route that the train goes through, she passes all these houses, and because she passes them so often, she starts to notice the people who live in those houses, and she kind of makes up these imaginary lives for them. Now, one day as she goes through these houses, one person that she sees a lot of goes missing, and she basically inserts herself into the investigation of this missing person. I am so glad I read this book. I think this book definitely lives up to its hype. The characters in this book are so complex and messy that you kind of hate them, but at the same time you kind of want to know the consequences of their actions, so you keep reading. It's so gripping. It's such a gripping and atmospheric story, and it has like an undertone of kind of creepiness to it. Also, this book is told in 3 points of views, and it's from the 3 women who are involved in this story. So you have the main character, you have the missing person, and you also have this one other character that is introduced a little bit later on. I really like that about it. I usually don't like multiple perspective type books, but I felt like within this story it really worked. Also, I listened to half of this on audio because I just wanted to kind of feel the characters' voices. The next book I read is one that I'm still a little scared to talk about because it is probably going to be in my favorites list of the year, if not of all time, and that book is Tiger Lily by Jodi Lynn Anderson. Now, this book is sort of a reimagining origin story of the character of Tiger Lily from the Peter Pan story by J.M. Barrie. It is so beautifully written. The messages and the themes that is explored in this book is so well discussed and well explored. I think this is the kind of YA book that I love. It's very dark and raw, and it deals with a lot of the topics of kind of longing and loss and identity. I don't know, there's just this sad undertone to this book, but it's not necessarily a sad book. As I said, it follows a Tiger Lily, but it follows her in an interesting way because this book is actually narrated by Tinkerbell, who in this world is a fairy that is mute, because all fairies in this book are mute and they communicate through signals, and also they can read people's minds, so that's how they speak to each other. So you get this kind of gray area between it being a third person and a first person, because you're reading Tiger Lily's thoughts because she doesn't talk too much, so you read her mind a lot of the times, but you read it through the interpretation of, which I think it affects the way the story is told. It's been a few days and I still can't really wrap my head around full coherent thoughts about this book, because I absolutely loved it. There are so many beautiful passages in this book, and Tiger Lily is a very stoic and hard character, and she is one of those characters that is very much hard to love. I, for one, actually do relate to her, because there is this passage in here. This is one quote that made me really relate to Tiger Lily. Tiger Lily, curling up inside like a rock, stony-faced, listening, but at the same time refusing to hear. Because I think that sums up how she is as a person, and also how the people in her village see her. Peter Pan, I felt, was nicely represented in this book. He plays a big role in it as well. I don't want to tell you how, because that kind of, I mean, there aren't really any spoilers, but Peter Pan is in this, and I thought that the way he was portrayed and described was really reminiscent of the Peter Pan that we get to know from the 2003 Peter Pan adaptation, the live action one, the one with Jeremy Sumpter. That's my favorite Peter Pan adaptation, by the way. But yeah, so I really liked that. She is also a character that I didn't think that I was going to like in the beginning, but as I read on, because she is telling Tiger Lily's story and she's so focused on Tiger Lily, I didn't think we would see more of her personality, but in fact we actually do. And again, she is very much true to the character that we know her of from the Peter Pan story and all the adaptations, how she's a jealous character. And I think in a lot of the other adaptations, because she's not the main character, you don't really see the depth of her, and you actually really do see that in this. You see why she's so jealous and why she's so protective of Peter and all that stuff. I know there's probably plenty of stuff that I forgot to mention, and there's probably going to be more stuff that I want to mention about this book, but I don't have the words right now, because I just love it so much. If I do end up making like a written review or its own video review, I will leave the link to it down below. But yeah, and last but not least, I read Lauren Graham's new memoir, which is Talking as Fast as I Can, From Gilmore Girls to Gilmore Girls. I have mentioned it in the past that I love Gilmore Girls. I also recently finished watching Parenthood, which she was also in, and I have been so interested in her as a person and as an actress, but reading this, I didn't know that she did half the stuff that she did before she did Gilmore Girls, so I really like that aspect. I love the details that she gave on working on Gilmore Girls and stuff like that, and also working on the Gilmore Girls A Year in the Life, the reboot. Yeah, I don't know how to like really review or rate this book, just because it is someone's life, so I feel kind of weird talking about it. But I also listened to half of this on audiobook because she narrated it herself. I like doing that with memoirs and kind of non-fiction type stuff, because most of the time the person who the memoir is about usually reads it out themselves, so you get to hear their actual voice and where the inflections of certain words are and stuff like that, so I really like that. But the physical copy also has a lot of pictures that I cannot find when I'm trying to show someone, so like photos on set, and she has like doodly type stuff as well in it, so that was really fun. So if you're a fan of Lauren Graham, if you're a fan of Gilmore Girls, it's worth a read. It's really nice, and if you listen to her voice on audio, that's really nice too. Anyway, those are the books that I read so far in the year. Let me know what are some standout books that you've read so far, and I hope you guys enjoy this, and I will see you guys soon.